Emperor Yang of Sui, 569 April 11, 618, personal name Yang Guang, alternative name Ying, nickname Amo, known as Emperor Ming, during the brief reign of his grandson Yang Tong, was the second son of Emperor Wen of Sui, and the second emperor of China's Sui Dynasty. Emperor Yang's original name was Yang Ying, but was renamed by his father, after consulting with oracles, to Yang Guang. Yang Guang was made the Prince of Jin after Emperor Wen established Sui Dynasty in 581. In 588, he was granted command of the 5 armies that invaded the southern Chen dynasty and was widely praised for the success of this campaign. These military achievements, as well as his machinations against his older brother Yang Yong, led to him becoming crown prince in 600. After the death of his father in 604, generally considered, though unproven, by most traditional historians to be a murder ordered by Yang Guang, he ascended the throne as Emperor Yang. Emperor Yang, ruling from 606 to 618, committed to several large construction projects, most notably the completion of the Grand Canal. He commanded the reconstruction of the Great Wall, a project which took the lives of nearly 6 million workers. He also ordered several military expeditions that brought Sui to its greatest territorial extent, one of which, the conquest of Campa in what is now central and southern Vietnam, resulted in the death of thousands of Sui soldiers from malaria. These expeditions, along with a series of disastrous campaigns against Goguryeo, one of the 3 kingdoms of Korea, left the empire bankrupt and a populace in revolt. With northern China in turmoil, Emperor Yang spent his last days in Jiangdu, in modern Yangzhou, Jiangsu, where he was eventually strangled in a coup led by his general Yuan Huaji. Emperor Yang committed almost 8 million people to constructing roads, palaces, the Grand Canal, the Great Wall and ships. The redesigning of Luoyang, designated as the eastern capital, alone required a quarter of that workforce, and as did the building of the Grand Canal. Equally manpower-consuming were the 3 expeditions against Goguryeo, each one needing about 1 million men. Despite his accomplishments, Emperor Yang was generally considered by traditional historians to be one of the worst tyrants in Chinese history and the reason for the Sui dynasty's relatively short rule. His failed campaigns against Goguryeo, and the conscriptions levied to man them, coupled with increased taxation to finance these wars and civil unrest as a result of this taxation, ultimately led to the downfall of the dynasty. Yang Guang was born in 569, during the reign of Emperor Wu of northern Zhou. His parents were Yang Jian the Duke of Sui and Yang Jian's wife Duchess Tuguki Luo. He was their second son, after Yang Yong, and he had at least one older sister, Yang Liwa, who became the wife of Emperor Wu's crown prince Yuan Yun, the later Emperor Xian, in 573. He was considered handsome and intelligent in his youth, and of Yang Jian's and Duchess Tugu's sons, they favored him the most. Sometime during northern Zhou, on account of Yang Jian's achievements, he was created the Duke of Yanmen. In 580, Yang Jian seized power as regent after Emperor Xian's death. In 581, he had Emperor Xian's son, by the concubine Empress Zhu Menyu, Emperor Jing, yield the throne to him, ending northern Zhou and establishing Sui dynasty as its Emperor Wen. Emperor Wen created Yang Yong crown prince and created his other sons imperial princes. Yang Guang thus received the title of Prince of Jin. As Prince of Jin. Also in 581, Emperor Wen made Yang Guang the commandant at Bing province, roughly modern Taiyuan, Shaanxi, in charge of the provinces north of the Yellow River. In 582, Emperor Wen set up a branch of the executive bureau of his government, Shangshisheng, at Bing province and made Yang Guang its head. He made the official Wang Shao, the deputy head, and had him assist Yang Guang. Later in 582, Emperor Wen took a daughter of his vassal Emperor Ming of Western Liang, Xiaoquai, to be Yang Guang's wife and princess. It was said that Yang Guang loved and respected her. In 584, after some Sui military and diplomatic victories, Tajishabalya Khan Ashinashita submitted to Sui. Yang Guang suggested to Emperor Wen that he rejected Ashinashita's overture and launch a major attack on Taju, but Emperor Wen refused. In 585, with Ashinashita under attack from one of his subordinate khans, the Data Khan Ashinadayanju, Emperor Wen in fact sent Yang Guang to aid Ashinashita. In 588, Emperor Wen moved Yang Guang's headquarters to Shaochun, in modern Luan, Anhui, and made him the commandant there as well as the branch of the executive bureau established there. In winter 588, Emperor Wen launched a major attack on rival Chen dynasty. Yang Guang, his brother Yang Jun, and the general Yang Sui were in command of the three main prongs of the operation, with Yang Guang in command of the eastern prong as well as the overall operation. The key official Gao Jiang served as Yang Guang's assistant. In spring 589, the generals Han Qinhu and Heruo Bai, both under Yang Guang, crossed the Yangtze River and approached the Chen capital Jiankang. Soon, after Heruo defeated the Chen general Xiao Mohi, Jiankang fell, and the Chen emperor Chen Shubao was captured. Yang Guang, apparently fascinated by Chen Shubao's favorite concubine consort Zhang Liwa, sent Gao Jiang's son Gao Dihong, to order Gao Jiang to hold consort Zhang. Instead, Gao Jiang, comparing consort Zhang to Daji, the wicked wife of King Zhou of Shang, beheaded her. Yang Guang thereafter resented Gao greatly, stating sarcastically, "It has been said, you should repay every good deed done to you. I will repay Duke Gao later." By Yang Guang's orders, several of Chen Shubao's favorite officials, who were considered reasons for Chen's downfall, including Shi Wenqing, Shen Keqing, Yang Huilang, Su Xi, and Ji Huijing, were executed. It was said that the people praised Yang Guang for his actions. Chen Shubao and his own clan members, however, were treated with kindness, and at Yang Guang's request, Chen Shubao sent letters to Chen generals who had not yet surrendered to persuade them to do so, and they largely did. Later that year, Yang Guang's forces escorted them to the capital Chang'an. At the ceremony to present Chen Shubao to Emperor Wen, Yang Guang marched into the palace first, and Emperor Wen bestowed on Yang Guang decorated wagons, horses, clothing, and jade. Afterwards, Yang Jun was given the Yang province, then moved to modern Yangzhou, Jiangsu, commandant post, and Yang Guang was returned to Bing province. In 590, Emperor Wen swapped the defense posts of Yang Jun and Yang Guang, returning Yang Guang to Yang province. In 594, Yang Guang urged Emperor Wen to offer sacrifices to Mount Tai, a traditional ceremony for emperors, but one that was rarely carried out. Emperor Wen rejected the elaborate traditional ceremonies, but did carry out a reduced ceremony at Mount Tai. In spring 600, with Ashinadayanju, who had by now become Taji's Khan, attacking the borders, Emperor Wen sent Yang Guang, Yang Sui the Duke of Yu, Yang Guang's brother Yang Liang the Prince of Han, and Shi Wan Sui, the Duke of Taiping, against Taju, and they were largely successful against Ashinadayanju, protecting the Kaiman Khan Ashinaranjan, whom Sui supported, from Ashinadayanju's attack. By 600, Yang Guang's older brother Yang Yong had lost the favors of Emperor Wen and Empress Tugu over his wastefulness, which displeased Emperor Wen, and his having many concubines, which displeased Empress Tugu. Yang Guang, by contrast, pretended to be frugal and loving only Princess Xiao. It was written that Yang Guang did have concubines, but he pretended that he did not, and that he forced his concubines to have abortions if they became pregnant. Yang Guang further inflamed Empress Tugu by informing her that she believed that Yang Yong was determined to kill him eventually. Empress Yang thus resolved to remove Yang Yong. Yang Guang further had his associate Yuan Shu persuade Yang Su's brother Yang Yu, that, because Yang Su's relationship with Yang Yong was not good, that their family would be in peril should Yang Yong succeed Emperor Wen. Finally, Yang Guang also had Yang Yong's associate Ji Wei, accuse Yang Yong of plotting treason. Emperor Wen had Yang Su investigate, and Yang Guang and Yang Su manufactured evidence against Yang Yong. Emperor Wen deposed Yang Yong and replaced him with Yang Guang, putting Yang Yong under house arrest under Yang Guang's watch. Yang Guang later prevented Yang Yong from all attempts of seeing his parents again. As crown prince, it is widely believed that Yang Guang also continued to scheme to secure his status as the crown prince. Such commonly believed tales include the followings. By 602, his brother, Yang Xiu the Prince of Shu, who was commandant of Yi province, roughly modern Chengdu, Sichuan, and had great resources at his disposal. Yang Guang collected evidence of Yang Xiu's wrongdoing, particularly wastefulness, and had Yang Sui submit them to Emperor Wen. Emperor Wen summoned Yang Xiu back to the capital and had Yang Sui investigate, and both Yang Guang and Yang Sui further manufactured evidence against Yang Xiu. Emperor Wen reduced Yang Xiu to commoner rank and put him under house arrest. Also in 602, Empress Tugu died. It was said that Yang Guang pretended to mourn greatly, refusing most foods, but in private continued to dine normally. In 604, while Emperor Wen was at his vacation palace Renqiao Palace, in modern Baoji, Shaanxi, he fell ill and then died a death, however, that traditional historians, while admitting a lack of direct evidence, believed to be a murder ordered by Yang Guang, see below. Yang Guang, after sending Yang Yu to kill Yang Yong, announced Emperor Wen's death and took the throne as Emperor Yang. Early reign. An immediate challenge that Emperor Yang faced was a rebellion by his brother Yang Liang, then the commandant at Bing province, who was encouraged by the generals Wang Kui and Xiao Mohi. Yang Liang received support from 19 provinces, but lacked a coherent plan as to whether to try to challenge Emperor Yang for the control of the entire empire, or just the region north of the Yellow River. After some initial successes, Yang Liang's offenses stalled. Emperor Yang sent Yang Sui against him, and Yang Sui proceeded quickly to Yang Liang's headquarters at Bing province, capturing Xiao and forcing Yang Liang to surrender. Emperor Yang did not execute Yang Liang, but reduced him to commoner rank and imprisoned him for the rest of his life. In winter 604, believing in the words of the sorcerer Zhang Zhou that the geography of Chang'an was not conducive to his health, Emperor Yang went to Luoyang, designating it as the eastern capital, and would rarely return to Chang'an thereafter, although Chang'an remained officially the main capital. He ordered that major construction projects be carried out at Luoyang, commensurate with the necessities of having it as the second capital, and he left his oldest son, Yang Zhao the Prince of Jin, in charge of Chang'an. He conscripted several hundred thousands of young men to dig a lengthy trench to surround the Luoyang region, intending that it serve as a defense perimeter. He also ordered that women and servants be exempted from head taxes, and that men would only be considered adults, i.e., subject to conscription, when they turned 21. In spring 605, Emperor Yang created his wife Crown Princess Xiao Empress, and Yang Zhao Crown Prince. He also abolished the offices of military commandants. He, at this time, trusted Empress Xiao's brother Xiao Kong the Duke of Zhu, Western Liang's last emperor, and made him, as well as many of her other relatives, important officials, creating him the greater title of Duke of Liang. Starting in 605, Emperor Yang also started a massive number of construction projects including the building of the imperial palace at Luoyang, described to be particularly luxurious. Further, he conscripted a large number of men to build the Tongji Canal, connecting Luoyang with the Yellow River and connecting the Yellow River with the Huai River, as well as to rebuild the Han Canal, connecting the Huai River and the Yangtze River. The two canals, which would eventually become parts of the Grand Canal of China, were said to be constructed within 5 months, but at substantial cost of life 40% to 50% of the men employed. Emperor Yang also ordered that some 40 secondary palaces be built around the empire, so that he could visit the various provinces, arguing that he needed to do so to see the conditions of the empire so that he could govern effectively. In fall 605, after the completion of the Tongji and Han canals, Emperor Yang carried out the first of 11, counting military campaigns, tours that he would eventually undertake of various parts of the empire, going to Jiangdu, the capital of Yang province, where he had been commandant previously on an imperial ship that was said to be sufficiently large and luxurious to serve as floating palaces. Also in 605, when Khitan tribes attacked Yang province, roughly modern Zhaoyang, Liaoning, Emperor Yang had the official Wei Yunkai, requisitioned to Jia troops under Ashina Ranjan to attack Khitan. The Khitan forces were caught by surprise and defeated. In summer 606, Yang Zhao the crown prince became ill while visiting Luoyang, and soon died. Emperor Yang would not create another crown prince for the rest of his reign, creating Yang Zhao's sons Yang Tan, Yang Tong, and Yang Yu imperial princes, while initially apparently tacitly considering his second son, Yang Jian the Prince of Qi, no different character than Emperor Wen, the de facto successor, leaving Yang Jian in charge of Luoyang whenever he would be away from Luoyang. Yang Sui, whom Emperor Yang pretended to respect but actually feared, also died in summer 606. Also in 606, Emperor Yang ordered that two massive food storages, the Lucas storage, and the Hualuo storage, be constructed near Luoyang. In spring 607, Ashina Ranjan visited Emperor Yang at Luoyang. Also in spring 607, at the instigation of Yuan Shu, Emperor Yang had Yang Yong's 8 sons put to death. In summer 607, Emperor Yang abolished provinces and changed them to commanderies. At the same time, he reorganized his father's governmental system of having 5 main bureaus, keeping 4 of the main bureaus: the Executive Bureau, Shangshi Sheng, the Examination Bureau, Mengzia Sheng, the Legislative Bureau, Naishi Sheng, the Archival Bureau, Misha Sheng, while abolishing the Eunuch Bureau and replacing it with the Palace Bureau, Dianei Sheng. He established 3 additional independent agencies and 5 independent departments. He also organized the imperial army into 16 corps. He abolished 3 levels of noble titles: the counts, the viscounts, and the barons, keeping only the princes, the dukes, and the marquises. Also in summer 607, Emperor Yang embarked on a tour of the northern provinces, building an imperial highway from Chang'an to Jinyang, the capital of Bing province. He then personally visited the imperial tent of Ashina Ranjan, whose display of submission and loyalty caused Emperor Yang to bestow much honor and wealth on him. When the senior officials Gao Jian, Yuan Bai, and Haruo Bai privately expressed disapproval, Emperor Yang discovered their criticism and put all of them to death, while removing Sui Wei, who also discouraged him from giving excessive rewards to Ashina Ranjan, from his post. Traditional historians attribute Gao's death to Gao's refusal to keep Chen Shibao's consort Zhang alive in 589. As Xiao Kong had a deep friendship with Haruo Bai, and there had been rumors that the Xiaos would rise again, the superstitious Emperor Yang also removed Xiao Kong from his post. Also in 607, at the instigation of Peiju, Emperor Yang reopened relations with Xiu states. In spring 608, Emperor Yang conscripted over 1 million men to construct the Yangtze Canal, from the Yellow River to Zhou Commandery, roughly modern Beijing. It was said that there were not enough men, and he started conscripting women as well. In 608, after persuasion by the Sui official Kui Junsu, the western Tuja Khan, Ashina Ranjan's western rival, the Heshina Khan Ashina Daman, whose mother was Han, submitted to Sui as a vassal. However, also in 608, Emperor Yang received a letter claiming to be from the King of Japan, Dualisabi Go, now commonly believed to be Prince Shitoku, stating, "The Son of Heaven where the sun rises, to the Son of Heaven where the sun sets, may good health be with you." Displeased by what he saw as insolence, he ordered that in the future, insolent letters from other states not be submitted to him. Also in 608, initially over disputes over women, Yang Jian's having taken a concubine that Emperor Yang himself wanted, and hunting, Yang Jian's guards having been much more successful than Emperor Yang's guards at hunting, Emperor Yang's relationship with Yang Jian began to deteriorate. He ordered investigations into Yang Jian's violation of laws, and discovered that Yang Jian had used witchcraft to curse Yang Zhao's 3 sons. In anger, Emperor Yang executed and exiled a number of Yang Jian's associates, but he did not depose Yang Jian, although from this point on Yang Jian did not exert much influence on the political scene. In 608 as well Peiju persuaded the Tile tribes to attack Tuyuhun, forcing Tuyuhun's Busabo Khan Murongfuun to flee. Murongfuun initially considered submitting to Sui, and Emperor Yang sent Yuan with an army to welcome him. However, when Murongfuun changed his mind, Yuan attacked him and seized much of Tuyuhun's people. When Murongfuun fled further, Emperor Yang had his forces seize Tuyuhun's territory, establishing 4 commanderies, to be populated with exiles. Middle reign. In spring 609, Ashinaranjan made another visit to Emperor Yang, and Emperor Yang again rewarded him with much treasure. Also in spring 609, Emperor Yang ordered a redistribution of the farming land throughout the empire. Later in spring 609, Emperor Yang conducted a tour of the newly conquered Tuyuhun territory, and sent several generals to chase down Murongfuun. The Sui forces engaged Murongfuun's remaining forces, with mixed success, but Murongfuun was forced to flee to Dang's Yang tribes. Emperor Yang tried to impose Murongfuun's son Murongshun, whom Murongfuun had earlier sent to Sui as a hostage, as Tuyuhun's new Khan, but the Tuyuhun people would not accept him, and Murongshun was forced back to Sui territory. Emperor Yang also received 27 rulers of Xiu kingdoms in an audience at Zhangjie, in modern Zhangjie, Gansu. Later in the year, Ashinaranjan died, and was succeeded by his son Shibi Khan Ashinaduojishi. Pursuant to Tuja customs, Ashinaduojishi requested permission from Emperor Yang to marry Ashinaranjan's wife Princess Yuchen, the daughter of a clansman of Emperor Yang. Emperor Yang agreed. Also in 609, Emperor Yang, jealous of the literary talent of the official Shui Daoheng, he falsely accused Shui of defaming the emperor and had Shui strangled. By this time, it was said that Emperor Yang's lifestyle had become particularly wasteful, and that he no longer felt bound by moral principles. In 610, Emperor Yang visited Jiangdu again, and this time elevated Jiangdu's importance so that it effectively became a third capital. When Emperor Yang was visiting Ashinaranjan in 607, a messenger from Goguryeu's King Yang to Ashinaranjan happened to be present, and Ashinaranjan introduced him to Emperor Yang. Emperor Yang ordered Gao Yuan to come visit him, offering to reward him if he did so and to punish him if he did not do so. Gao Yuan did not respond, and by 611, Emperor Yang, insulted by the lack of response, was preparing a campaign against Goguryeo. With Sui appearing to be in its prime, both governmental officials and the people were initially in support of a campaign to conquer Goguryeo. In spring 611, Emperor Yang went to Zhou Commandery and announced the campaign against Goguryeo. Several hundred men were conscripted, and it was said that even before they could get to Zhou Commandery, disease and fatigue had already caused much loss of life. In response, a number of conscripted soldiers deserted and became agrarian rebels. Also in 611, angry that Western Taji's Khan Ashinadaman, while nominally submissive, had refused to visit him, Emperor Yang had Peiju persuade Ashinadaman's subordinate Khan Ashina to rebel against Ashinadaman, promising to give him a Sui princess in marriage. Ashina thus rebelled against Ashinadaman, forcing Ashinadaman to flee, first to Jiaokang, then to Sui. Emperor Yang accepted Ashinadaman's submission, and thereafter divided his people into 3 groups, while leaving Ashinadaman as titularly Khan, although he never allowed Ashinadaman to return to his people. By 612, the soldiers had been gathered at Zhou Commandery, and Emperor Yang launched his attack, attacking a number of cities in Goguryeo territory, but targeting mainly at the important city of Liaodong, in modern Liaoyang, Liaoning, and Goguryeu's capital Pyongyang. However, contrary to the desires of the generals, Emperor Yang ordered that their tactical decisions must first be submitted to and approved by him before they could be carried out. Thus all the Goguryeo forts and cities were able to withstand Sui forces, and thus Manchuria did not have much of a chance to be conquered. Emperor Yang, however, made a new plan to keep the Goguryeo forts at bay while sending another army, alongside the navy, to siege the Goguryeo capital. The navy arrived first and with a haste order, the navy attacked the capital but were defeated by ambush. The navy then waited for the land army to arrive. The supply of food had also been delayed much and many Sui soldiers died of famine. Then the Goguryeo general Yulji Mundiak rallied Goguryeo forces and constantly ambushed Sui forces and feigning retreat. The Sui army had come to the Salsu River, but Yulji and the Goguryeo forces were waiting in ambush. A dam was made at the Salsu River to make the river seem it was shallow. When the Sui army was in the middle of the river, the dam was opened and many Sui soldiers drowned. Out of the 305,000 men that entered the river, only 2,700 soldiers escaped death. Thus the Sui army, or what was left of it, retreated back to Sui. This war however had left Sui to devastating losses in soldiers, money and support from the people. In winter 612, Emperor Yang married a daughter of a clansman, whom he created the Princess Warong, to Chu Boya, the king of Jiaokang. In spring 613, Emperor Yang again ordered that soldiers be gathered at Zhou Commandery, as he prepared a second campaign against Goguryeo. He also selected the most elite of the soldiers into a specialized corps, the Ziokuo army, meaning, the strong and brave. Thereafter, the Ziokuo army became his own personal guards. In response to the conscription order, even more men deserted and joined the agrarian rebels, throwing the northern central part of the empire into a state of confusion. With the commandery officials having little military training, the rebels largely went unchecked but for the efforts of the general Zhang Suchuo, who was able to defeat some of the rebels but was not able to generally suppress them. In summer 613, Emperor Yang crossed the Liao River again and put Manchuria under siege. However, at this time, news arrived that Yang Su's son Yang Suangan had rebelled near Luoyang. With the people disaffected by the Goguryeo campaigns, Yang Suangan received much popular support and threatened Luoyang. Emperor Yang, in fear, lifted the siege on Liaodong and also ordered the southern offensive to be terminated, returning to Zhou Commandery while sending Yuan and Kututong, south to aid Luoyang. The general in charge of defending Chang'an, Wei Wenzheng, also came to Luoyang's aid. Together, these forces outnumbered Yang Suangan's and dealt him several defeats. Yang Suangan decided to try to advance west to capture Chang'an as a base of operations, but on the way was again defeated, and he had his brother Yang Jishan kill him, to avoid capture. At Emperor Yang's orders, the officials Fan Zigai and Pei Yun carried out mass-scale reprisals, executing a large number of people who had followed Yang Suangan. Around the new year 614, by Emperor Yang's orders, Yang Jishan and Yang Suangan's strategist Wei Fuzi were publicly executed in exceedingly cruel manners. The officials all fired arrows at them, and then they were further drawn and quartered, and then their bodies were burned and the ashes scattered. Around the same time, there were also rebellions south of the Yangtze River, and Emperor Yang sent the official Wang Shishang against the rebels. Wang was able to suppress the rebellions, for the most part, and thereafter began to rise in prominence at Emperor Yang's court. Meanwhile, Emperor Yang ordered that rebels' possessions could be confiscated at will. The local officials, however, used this as an excuse to execute and confiscate properties of those they did not like. Late reign. In spring 614, Emperor Yang again proposed another campaign against Goguryeo. Although his officials did not approve, none dared to oppose him. Many of the soldiers ordered to report to Zhou Commandery deserted. Emperor Yang tried to stop desertions by executing those who deserted, but still could not stem the tide of desertions. Goguryeo forces had also been constantly ambushing the Sui army. With this, the Goguryeo forces had been ambushing the supply line. Goguryeo offered peace, for Goguryeo had also been exhausted. Goguryeo also returned Yan Suangan's associate Hu Zizheng, who had fled to Goguryeo after his association with Yang Suangan was discovered. Lai initially opposed ending the campaign, but did finally withdraw after ordered by Emperor Yuan. Emperor Yang executed Huzi using the same kind of cruelty that he employed against Yang Jishan and Wei Fuzi, but afterwards, when he again summoned Goguryu's King Yang Yang to meet him, King Yang Yang again ignored him. Emperor Yang declared a fourth campaign against Goguryeo, but he never actually launched it. Meanwhile, agrarian rebellions continued to rise. While generals such as Zhang Suchuo and Wang Sikong enjoyed victories here and there, the situation was deteriorating for the welfare of the Sui state at large. In spring 615, believing in accusations by Yuan Shu that the official Li Hun was intending to carry out a coup to replace Emperor Yang with his nephew Li Min, son-in-law of Emperor Yang's sister Yang Liwa the Princess Li Ping, and worried about prophecies that someone named Li would become the next emperor, Emperor Yang had Li Hun, Li Min, and their clansmen executed, and further poisoned Yang Liwa's daughter Yuan Ying. Later in 615, Emperor Yang carried out a tour of the northern provinces. While he was at Yanmen, in modern Xinzhou, Shaanxi, Ashina Duojishi, who had become disaffected because Emperor Yang was trying to divide his power by promising to give a princess to Ashina Duojishi's brother Ashina Chiji, and had executed Ashina Duojishi's trusted advisor Shishu Hyuxi, under false pretenses, launched a surprise attack on Yanmen and, although Princess Yuchen had secretly sent Emperor Yang warnings, Sui forces were still surprised. Ashina Duojishi put Yanmen under siege. It was said that Emperor Yang became fearful that he was crying all day, holding on to his youngest son Yang Gao the Prince of Zhao. Yuan Shu suggested that Emperor Yang take the most elite guards and try to fight out of the siege, but Su Wei and Fan Zigai opposed. Empress Xiao's brother Xiao Yu suggested seeking help from Princess Yuchen, and Emperor Yang did so. Meanwhile, Emperor Yang also personally visited the soldiers defending the city, promising to end the campaigns against Goguryeo and to reward them with honors and treasure. Princess Yuchen falsely informed Ashina Duojishi that Tuzhou was under attack from the north, and meanwhile, relief troops from Luoyang and the other commanderies were arriving, so Ashina Duojishi lifted the siege. Upon the lifting of the siege, however, Emperor Yang reneged on his promises. He did not return to the capital Chang'an, but went to Luoyang instead. He continued to discuss a campaign against Goguryeo, and he did not bestow the honors and rewards he promised. When Fan and Xiao Yu reminded him of the promises, Emperor Yang rebuked Fan and demoted Xiao Yu. Emperor Yang only appeared to begin to be concerned about rebels when, at the Lunar New Year imperial gathering in 616, 20-odd commanderies' messengers did not arrive either because they had fallen into rebel hands, or because their messengers were intercepted or killed on the way. Only then did Emperor Yang begin talking about suppressing the rebels. Apparently beginning to consider the idea of evacuating to south of the Yangtze River, he ordered that a major palace be built at Piling Commandery, roughly modern Changzhou, Jiangsu, and that another palace be built in Kuiji Commandery. However, he did not like to hear news about rebels, and when Su expressed concerns about the rebels, Emperor Yang had Su falsely accused of crimes and initially was poised to execute him, but instead demoted him to commoner rank. By fall 616, Emperor Yang had resolved to go to Jiangdu, at Yuan Shu's suggestion. A number of officials opposed, reasoning that if he left Luoyang, Luoyang would fall into enemy hands. Emperor Yang punished all, some with execution, and proceeded to Jiangdu. He wrote a farewell poem to the ladies in waiting in Luoyang, which included 2 lines that read, "I dream of Jiangdu's beauty. And it was only occasional that I advance past the Liao River." Once Emperor Yang left Luoyang, Yang Suangan's former strategist Li Mi, who by this point was advising the rebel general Zai Rang, advised Zai to directly assault the Luoyang region. Zai agreed, and killed Zhang Suchuo in a battle. Thereafter, the morale of the Sui troops became greatly damaged. Zai, believing in the prophecies about the next emperor being a Li, began to honor Li Mi as his leader. Meanwhile, the Sui general Yang Yuchen was having success against the rebels north of the Yellow River, killing Zhang Jinchinj and Gao Shida, but Emperor Yang and his prime minister Yu Shiji, fearful of Yang Yuchen's talent, ostensibly promoted Yang Yuchen and recalled him to be a minister. Yang Yuchen died soon thereafter, and the rebels north of the Yellow River reinvigorated themselves under Doji Ande. By 617, several other major rebels had also emerged, including Du Fuwei, agrarian rebel, occupying the modern southern Anhui region. Gao Kaidao, agrarian rebel, occupying the modern extremely northern Hebei region. Liang Shidu, agrarian rebel, occupying the modern central Inner Mongolia region, declaring himself the Emperor of Liang. Li Gui, formerly a Sui official, occupying the modern central and western Gansu region, declaring himself the Prince of Liang. Li Yuan, formerly a Sui official, and Emperor Yang's cousin, occupying the modern central Shaanxi region, announcing that he wanted to make Emperor Yang's grandson Yang Yu the Prince of Dai, then at Chang'an, Emperor. Lin Shihong, agrarian rebel, occupying the modern Jiangxi and Guangdong region, declaring himself the Emperor of Chu. Lu Wuzhu, agrarian rebel, occupying the modern northern Shaanxi region, declaring himself the Dingyang Khan. Luo Yi, former Sui general, occupying the modern Beijing region. Xiao Xi, formerly a Sui official, a grandson of Emperor Xian of Western Liang, occupying the modern Hubei, Hunan, and Guangxi region, declaring himself the Emperor of Liang. Xueju, agrarian rebel, occupying the modern eastern Gansu and western Shaanxi region, declaring himself the hegemonic prince of western Qin. Zhu Kan, formerly a Sui official, roving with his army in the modern southern Henan and southeastern Shaanxi region, first declaring himself the Prince of Jialalu, and then the Emperor of Chu. By spring 617, Li Mi and Zai had captured Emperor Yang's main food storages near Luoyang, the Luka and Hualuo storages, thus keeping their army well supplied while making the Sui forces at Luoyang beginning to lack food. Li Mi took the title of Duke of Wei, while creating Zai the Duke of Dong Commandery, although Li Sun, fearful of Zai, killed him and seized Zai's army. A number of other agrarian rebels at least nominally submitted to Li Mi, including Dou and Li Yuan, and it was often thought at the time that Li Mi would soon be able to become emperor. Emperor Yang sent Wang to Luoyang to aid in its defenses, and Li's offensive stalled. Meanwhile, Li Yuan advanced southwest and captured Chang'an in winter 617. He declared Yang Yu emperor, as Emperor Gong, while honoring Emperor Yang as Tai's Hang Huang, retired emperor, and he himself wielded actual authority over the western Sui commanderies under the title of Prince of Tang. Meanwhile, at Jiangdu, it was said that Emperor Yang's lifestyle grew increasingly decadent. His palace contained over 100 chambers, each exceedingly luxurious and full of beautiful women. The women of each chamber would serve as hostesses for a feast each day, and Emperor Yang, Empress Xiao, and Emperor Yang's favored concubines would be their guests. Emperor Yang began to come to the realization that his fall was near, but still commented as if he did not care. It was said that on one occasion, he told Empress Xiao, "There must be many people who want to hurt me. However, I will at least be the Duke of Chongcheng, i.e., be like Chen Shubao, and you will at least be like Empress Shen, Chen Shubao's wife. Do not worry. Let us drink and be merry." It was also said that on another occasion, when he was looking in the mirror, he told Empress Xiao, "I have a good neck, and I'm waiting for someone to sever it." Empress Xiao, surprised and distressed by his comment, asked him why he was saying so, and he responded and smiled, "Honor and wealth and poverty and dishonor, as well as pain and pleasure, all come in cycles. Why be distressed?" Meanwhile, not wanting to return to the turbulent north, he discussed with his officials about moving the capital to Danyang, in modern Nanjing, Jiangsu. His elite Ziokuo army guards, missing their families in the north and realizing that Emperor Yang did not intend to return north, began to desert. Their commanders Sima Dekan, Yuan Li, and Peiqian Tong, worried that Emperor Yang would punish them, began considering rebelling and taking the Ziokuo army north themselves instead. They associated with a number of other officers and officials, discussing so publicly that even the ladies-in-waiting began to hear about it. When one reported to Empress Xiao had her report to Emperor Yang, but Emperor Yang, not wishing to hear about the bad news, beheaded her. When another reported to Empress Xiao no longer permitted her to report to Emperor Yang, figuring that it was too late. Meanwhile, the Zioqiao army officers planning the mutiny had by this time decided on supporting Yuan Shu's son Yuan Huaji as their leader. In late spring 618, they launched the coup. They entered the palace and surrounded Emperor Yang, accusing him of crimes. Emperor Yang admitted his faults, but pointed out that he had always treated them well, drawing the response from Sima, "All of the earth is angry at you. It does not stop at just one man." They killed Yang Gao on the spot to show him that they were serious. Emperor Yang offered to swallow poison, but none could not be found quickly. He then took off his scarf, and the soldier Ling Huzingda strangled him with it. The coup participants also killed a number of high-level officials and relatives of Emperor Yang, including Emperor Yang's brother Yang Xiu and his sons, son Yang Jian and his sons, grandson Yang Tan, the Prince of Yan, Yu Shiji, Pei Yun, Lai Huer, Yuan Chang, Yuan Xie, Yuan Jian, and Xiao Ju, the Duke of Liang, Empress Xiao's nephew. The only close relative to Emperor Yang who was spared was his nephew Yang Hao, the Prince of Qin, who was friendly with Yuan Huaji's brother Yuan Ziji. Yuan Huaji thereafter declared Yang Hao emperor. Empress Xiao and the ladies-in-waiting, with no one else to help them, were forced to make makeshift caskets for Emperor Yang and Yang Gao using headboards from their beds. It was not until Yuan Huaji left Jiangdu that the Sui official Chen Leng buried Emperor Yang with reduced ceremony. In 622, after Li Yuan had established the Tang dynasty, becoming Emperor Jiaozu, and had somewhat reunified the empire, he reburied Emperor Yang with honors. The tomb was moved several times, and it was said that because of his immoral behavior lightning struck the tomb wherever it was relocated. Patricide controversy. While no allegations were made at the time that Emperor Wen's death was anything other than the result of illness, starting from the time of the succeeding Tang dynasty, it was generally assumed that Emperor Wen was killed on Emperor Yang's orders, although more neutral historians generally assumed it to be true while stating that there was no direct evidence. An example is the Song dynasty historian Sima Guang's Zizi Tongjian, generally considered one of the most reliable, albeit secondary, source in Chinese history, which, after mentioning Emperor Wen's death and giving a commentary on Emperor Wen's reign, then gave this account. After Empress Wengxian, i.e., Empress Tugu, died, Emperor Wen greatly favored both consort Chen, the Lady Suanhua, and consort Cai, the Lady Ronghua. Consort Chen was the daughter of Emperor Xian of Chen. Consort Cai was from Danyang, in modern Nanjing, Jiangsu. The emperor grew ill at Renshao Palace, and was bedridden. Yang Sui, the left head of the Shang Lu Shu, the Minister of Defense, Emperor Wen's son-in-law as the husband of his daughter Yang Ao, the Princess Lanling, and Yuan Yan, the court administrator, were all attending to him. The emperor ordered the crown prince to enter the palace to stay at Dabao Hall. The crown prince thought that precautions needed to be taken in case of the emperor's death, and therefore he personally wrote a secret note to inquire of Yang Sui what precautions to take. Yang Sui wrote a return note detailing his security precautions, but by error the palace attendants delivered it to the emperor. The emperor was greatly displeased. Further, one morning, consort Chen was going to the latrine. Yang Guang could not resist her beauty, and grabbed her, wanting to have sexual relations with her. She resisted and fled back to the emperor. The emperor was surprised by her anxiety and asked her. She shed tears and stated, "The crown prince was being indecent to me." The emperor was shocked and angry, pounding the bed and stating, "Animal! How can I give him the important affairs? Dugu destroyed me." He then summoned Lu and Yuan, telling them, "Summon my son." They were about to summon the crown prince when he clarified, "Yang Yong." Lu and Yuan left the palace to write the edict. When Yang Sui heard this, he reported to the crown prince, and thereafter an edict of the emperor was forged to arrest Lu and Yuan and detain them at the jail at the Supreme Court. The guards of the Eastern Palace, i.e., the crown prince's guards, were summoned to take over security from the Renshao Palace guards. Security measures were instituted to disallow entry into or exit out of the palace. Yuan Shu and Guo Yan were put in command. Further, the deputy chief of staff for the crown prince's palace, Zhang Heng, entered the emperor's palace to attend to his medical needs. Zhang expelled all of the ladies-in-waiting and the eunuchs. Soon thereafter, the emperor died. Thereafter, there were different views as to how he died. When consort Chen and the other women of the palace heard of this, they stared at each other in fear and shook with fear. At dusk, the crown prince sent a eunuch with a small gold box, personally sealed by the crown prince, to be delivered to consort Chen. When consort Chen saw it, she, believing that there was poison inside, was very fearful, and did not dare to open it. Only after the eunuch urged her did she open it. Instead, the box contained several tongues in knots, a decoration showing love. Her ladies-in-waiting were relieved and became happy, stating to each other, "Finally, death is avoided." Consort Chen, in shame and anger, sat down and refused to accept the box. The ladies-in-waiting forced her to bow to the eunuch. That night, the crown prince ordered consort Chen to have sexual relations with him. More detailed versions of the story largely alleged that Zhang Heng personally killed Emperor Wen by pounding his chest and breaking his ribs. The advocates for the theory that Emperor Wen was killed on Emperor Yang's orders also pointed to other circumstantial evidence, including how immediately after Emperor Wen's death Emperor Yang took consorts Chen and Cai as his concubines. Further, after Zhang lost Emperor Yang's favors and eventually was executed in 612, Zhang lamented at the execution field, "What did I do for him that I can expect to live long?" The warden, apparently believing in the murder theory himself, immediately covered his ears to avoid hearing any details and had Zhang immediately executed. They further pointed out how Lu Shu and Yuan Yan were exiled and Yang Yong executed immediately following Emperor Wen's death. However, particularly in more recent times, some historians have questioned this theory. They pointed out that in the most official histories written not long after, the Book of Sui and the History of Northern Dynasties, no allegations of patricide was levied against Emperor Yang in either Emperor Wen's or Emperor Yang's biographies, or Zhang's, even though many other accusations were made of Emperor Yang's misrule. Indeed, they pointed out the origin of the murder theory appeared to come from the Deluiji, by the early Tang author Zhao Yi, in whose version of the story, consort Cai, not consort Chen, was the concubine involved. They also pointed out that all of the circumstantial evidence had other plausible explanations and that, indeed, why were Lu and Yuan not killed if they knew the truth? However, the idea that Emperor Wen was killed on Emperor Yang's orders has become ingrained in the traditional Chinese mindset, although the truth might never be known. Tomb. In April 2013 the tomb of Emperor Yang was discovered in Yangzhou. Two brick-lined tombs were discovered in the Hanjiang district of Yangzhou during work on a housing development. A stone epitaph found in the western tomb was inscribed with the title Tomb Epitaph of the late Emperor Yang of Sui, indicating that the tomb was that of Emperor Yang. It is thought that the other tomb may be that of the emperor's consort, but it has not been properly excavated yet. The tomb is 4.98 times 5.88 meters in dimension, which is smaller than many non-royal tombs of the period. The reason for the tomb's small size according to Chinese archaeologists is that the emperor died suddenly when he escaped to Yangzhou during a rebellion, and there was no time to build a grand tomb. The top of the tomb had been damaged by later buildings built on top of it, and the tomb had been robbed in antiquity. No coffin or human remains have been found in the tomb, but a number of artifacts have been recovered, including a pair of lion-shaped gold inlaid iron door knockers and a jade belt with gold decoration. Arts. Emperor Yang was also a patron of the arts, having expanded the number of foreign orchestras, from across Asia, at the Sui court from 7 to 9. He was, In fact, quite a gifted artist himself, but one prone to horrible fits of jealousy and stubbornness, who seldom listened to the advice of more talented individuals. He was a talented poet but killed two poets after he found their stanzas to be superior to his own.